Howdy, howdy.
Hey, Ruth.
Hi, babe.
I didn't know you were going to be here.
Oh, yeah. That coffee on the table is for you. I was surprising you, but I didn't even think to ask if you were actually coming.
I told her, I was like, I don't think she's coming.
Like, I don't think she's coming. I think she's remote. I was like, of course she is. I was like, I didn't even think to ask her.
You are so sweet.
So funny. I couldn't wait to see
all these sister vibes. Kiara, you got some free advertisement in a prior episode. Remember, who was it who had nails? Abby.
It was Abby.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was like, I need to get on that. Now, do you have the tips too? You bring everything that.
Yes. And it's called a Gel X tip. Basically, it's the entire nail that you just glue on. It's kind of like press-ons, but it's just a different process. But yeah, it's the easiest thing because you just pop them on and they're done. You don't have to like shape them but yeah, mine stay on for like 3 to 4 weeks.
So is it a side hustle?
It is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you have the kind that are like the square?
I don't, but I can get them. They're so cheap. So.
Look at that smile.
Yeah. I could be into that.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I literally, people will tell me, oh, I usually have short almond. I'm like, cool. I'll buy them on Amazon. So yeah, a lot of people are into almond shape. I have round. Lots of times I also like if it's a last minute, I want square, I'll just take another and then just shape it to a square. But yeah.
So, I mean, this is the perk of being a host of this podcast. If you want your nails done by Kiara, her Instagram link is in the show notes. Just message her.
There you go. Thank you.
Not a problem. Hey, I challenged myself to come up today with an icebreaker. I'll put it this way. It's hard for me to answer. So I'm going to ask y'all a question that I think I know what my answer would be, but you have to choose. So this is both of these are one of the greatest gifts you could get. By the way, welcome listeners, people watching on YouTube. Forgot to say, hey, we're here with Kiara Lindsay, Lynn Stroy, and myself, Joey Svensson. But imagine, both of these just sound so good.
Oh, goodness.
One of them is unlimited flying miles to go anywhere you want for the rest of your life. So basically, all you have to do is open up an app, type in your trip, show up at the airport, done. That sounds great, doesn't it?
Sounds incredible.
What could the other option be?
I know.
I'm going to be so excited if y'all are like, oh, this is so hard. A personal chef who at all times, on call 24/7, making you perfectly healthy, perfectly tasting snacks, meals, desserts, in which you never have to cook again.
Really?
Hands down.
Wow.
This is hard.
Yes.
Yeah, that's hard.
I got to hear why it's not hard for you, but so you're still processing. I'll tell you why I pick chef.
Okay, yeah, y'all go first. I need to put something.
The reason why I pick chef, not only is it an unbelievable choice, but you can fly anywhere, but you still got to pay for something. You got to pay to stay somewhere. I don't have a lot of the places that I want to fly to. I don't have friends there. So I'm thinking the chef, I'll never have to pay for another meal again. And it's perfectly healthy, perfectly tasty snacks, desserts. So I think for me, one of them comes with some strings attached. Well, you can get anywhere you want, but what do you do when you get there? That was for me. But I'm thinking the chef thing just sounded better for you, right?
It did. I cook, but I don't love it.
Yeah.
I just am like, I do it because I have to. And so having someone cook meals, like during COVID, one of our, a Seacoaster who's a caterer, she started doing like meals, like take-home meals. She kind of shifted her business during that season where people weren't having events. And I would order meals every week from her that you just had to warm up. And I'm like, that's is incredible. The greatest thing. So yes, same about the like you still have to pay. Also, is it unlimited for me or for someone else too? Like, am I the only one getting the unlimited flights?
That's a good thought.
Also, I like to travel, but I don't have a travel bug. So if I never went another place for the rest of my life, I would be okay. I'm never like, ooh, I should go here. I don't plan trips.
Yeah.
But I have to eat every day.
So
And I hate cooking.
yeah. So it would not. I was gonna, adjust it a little bit, but I think you may have already taken care of the fact that you're standing solid ground on the chef. So it wouldn't be a game changer if I changed it and I said you could always take someone with you and you have decent accommodations. Decent as in you're perfectly fine. Maybe not be illustrious. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Accommodations are included?
Yeah.
Oh, I would change.
You would change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I could just eat like I eat now. But
you
if I can take someone with me and my accommodations
travel
are
and go
included,
anywhere you want.
okay, that changes it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll just keep eating like I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, nothing's wrong with how I live life now.
You know what popped in my head is y'all, I've got some crazy imaginative thoughts about heaven. Like I really think that one of the reasons why the universe is so big, because God is big and the universe is not big to God. So I know we can scientifically be like, how in the world can something be so big and life not be on other planets? Well, life could be on other planets, but it also makes sense to me that God is so big, the universe isn't big to God. But I do think that everything that's here right now is going to be completely redeemed. And I think we'll be able to spend eternity traveling anywhere we want, exploring the universe, having unbelievable food all the time. So I kind of think we're talking a little bit about heaven here.
Okay, I love it.
All right, but let's hear it. Are you still undecided?
Choose travel.
So even without the accommodations and without a travel buddy.
But then you said the accommodations, so I'll take that too.
Yeah. She's like, don't take that away now.
So yeah, that's why I stay quiet, just to see how much more I could get out of it. But I think I also am like you. I don't really love cooking. I do it because I have to. I like experimenting with stuff, but it does sound very appealing. But I think I have a lot of family all around the globe, and we think about traveling a lot, and then a lot of the times I decide not to just because I can't afford to spend $1,000 on flights multiple times a year. So I think I would do that, especially if I could go with someone.
Yeah. But give me props. That was a pretty decent
That was
question.
really good.
That was a pretty decent
I was
question.
That's a good.
If you're watching on YouTube, we'd love for you to put our social media person said, hey, once in a while, tell people to comment. So I remembered it for the first time in the last 3 years.
Drop a comment.
Drop a comment. Let us know which one you would pick. All right. I've got, so first of all, everybody gets to hear from Jess Connolly, Pastor Jess Connolly.
That's awesome.
And listen to this brilliant stroke of genius that I thought of right before. I was like, I've already talked to Jess Connolly, and it was a wonderful conversation. Can't wait to talk to her again. I was like, why not bring Big Sister? And so I got to just sit back and watch her and Katie go back and forth. It's a delight. So people are going to enjoy that. But I got to tell y'all something that actually happened to me a couple of weeks ago, and just curious what y'all. I'll share my thoughts on it, and then I'll ask you what your thoughts are. So I walked out to the neighborhood pool, and Lynn, you'd be very shocked, but I was in a certain mood where I actually talked to some strangers.
Okay.
I talked to some strangers. And so I was leaving, and I walked, there's just two other people there. I was like, hey, I'm Joey, by the way. And it was interesting because they were just like, it felt like, why are you talking to me? I'm like, see, this is why I'm an introvert. But she, I would say she was probably 10 or 15 years older than me, just for a reference point. She said, what you reading there? And I said, oh, it's a mental health book. My therapist recommended it to me. Oh, okay. Have you ever read the Bible? And I was, yeah. And she said, it'll help a lot better than that. And I was like, okay, thanks. And then I walked away. And I couldn't stop thinking about that. And so I'll tell y'all what I think about this situation. I think she probably thought, well, I just witnessed to him, and she's thinking that's my responsibility because she cares about my soul. And I get that. I totally get that. She's like, well, I wonder if he's a Christian. If not, I need to say something to him. So I'll ask about the Bible. But she doesn't know me at all. doesn't know what I think about the Bible or whether I've had a bad experience with religion, for instance, or going to church. If so, that would not have helped, and it may have fueled any sort of off-putting feeling that I already have towards the church. It's like, I was just saying, hey, and you kind of just minimized what I was reading and threw a Bible in my face. I mean, she doesn't even know I'm a pastor, and I didn't bring that up. I just wanted to really process this, so I just walked away. So get to know me some. But if not, because not everybody wants to really get to know a person, especially in some small talk, I think here would be maybe a better way to have handled that. After she asks me what I'm reading and I tell her, maybe she could say, well, how's that helping? And I could give her an answer like, I've just barely gotten into it, or, oh, it's really awesome. Then she could have said something like, well, that's cool. You know what I read a lot? No. Well, what do you read? I read a lot of the Bible. I read a lot of the Bible. That just is a way more welcoming conversation, in my opinion, especially if someone doesn't have any sort of normal interaction with people of faith or hearing about reading the Bible. It just seemed to me, yes, and it wasn't offensive because I've been in her shoes before. I felt like any stranger I talk to, I need to get something in there because I care about their soul. But I feel like on the surface, it was kind of like a quick fix that would likely be more detrimental depending on the person that I was.
Yeah.
But how do y'all feel about that scenario? I'm curious.
I wonder too, like with her saying, your answer being, yes, I have read the Bible. And then her response being as quick as, oh, that'll help you a lot more than the book. It almost seems like that's what she wanted to say anyway, no matter what your response would have been to reading the Bible. So it's almost even just like like self-reflection. Okay, if I'm in conversations like that or situations like that, do I already have an agenda of where I want this conversation to go, or am I genuinely like hearing the person out? So it goes into the, she doesn't know you. She's not necessarily asking questions to know you, get to know you and figure out where you're at in life. But I feel like that could have been a good opportunity for her to kind of like, oh, you do read the Bible? Like,
what do you think?
What do you think? How has that helped or whatever? So
that makes a lot of sense too, because again, I didn't talk to her much afterwards, after these comments were exchanged, but it did feel like she also wanted to put a jab into this mental health hogwash. Yeah. Like you said, thought. Either way, I'm gonna one up you with the Bible.
Right. Yeah.
But I am always trying to assume the best. So at the end of the day, I think there's something in the depths of her heart that's like, this is probably a lost soul, and I got to say something. I got to plant a seed or something.
Yeah.
I want to hear what Lynn has to say.
Yeah. Well, a lost soul needs to hear the name of Jesus. So even saying, I don't know, I think I think that I feel the same way that you do, that she already had something in her mind that she wanted to get out, and it wasn't to know you. And so I just think that all of life is nuanced. And in the same way that if someone were battling with their weight or their blood pressure or like any of the things that we would say, Jesus heals. I believe in the power of his healing. And I also see him doing things over time. We would do that with anything. And so I don't know. I think that specifically with mental health, it still bumps up against this, I can use medicine for this, but I can't do it for that. I think it still bumps up against some paradigms that people have in their religion. And I appreciate that you are believing the best about
I love when I'm the least cynical person in the room. I just love it. It makes me feel so good.
Because I'm like, if someone's lost, I just don't know that I would approach it that way.
Yeah.
I would approach it like, hey, that sounds like you have some struggles. Like, would you be okay if I prayed with you?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there has to, I don't know. I think that there's some humility in, I don't know. I think there's some humility that I'm learning in sharing our faith.
Yeah.
Like in the assumptions that we make, because she made an assumption.
Yeah.
To even ask, like, do you read the Bible, assumes that you've gone to something and you haven't.
Right.
That you don't have a relationship with God, or you haven't gone to Him for your needs. And so I think that assumes things. And so I think, like, seeing someone who you think may be lost, you still have to approach that with humility. And you can't do that if you're making assumptions.
Yeah. Yeah. And as y'all were talking too, I thought, what an unbelievable seed to plant by just saying, well, Joey, thank you so much for coming up and talking to us, or tell us a little bit about yourself, and for me to walk away being like, gosh, those people were really kind. I was just saying, hey, and it felt like they really cared about me because they may see me again, and I'll be like, oh, and so, but I do, again, in their defense, I remember functioning in a way of, I may not ever see this person again. Maybe God sent them to me. Like maybe this person came up because the whole, but I would still say, taking a different route would be better. But no, I appreciate y'all's feedback. All right. Before we go to Pastor Jess, this is from Relevant Magazine, these statistics, and it's quoting from Barna. So this is some legit findings. But as you really take a peek into them, I don't know if it's that big of a deal or not. But the headline of this post is that Gen Z and millennials are going to church more often than Gen X and boomers. So here are the stats. Gen Z, and they're saying ages 18 to 28, they go to church 1.9 times per month, which turns out to be about 23 times a year. Millennials, 1.8, which is about 22 times a year. And then you have Gen Xers, 19 times annually, baby boomers, 17 times annually. So bottom line, nobody's going to church that often, and there doesn't seem to be that big of a difference. But this is what Barna's vice president says. Agree or disagree? He or she says, this is not a typical trend. Oh, it's a dude, said Daniel Copeland, Barna's vice president of research. The fact that young people are showing up more frequently than before challenges the idea that the church is losing an entire generation. The data adds to a growing body of evidence suggesting younger Americans are showing renewed interest in faith. College campuses have reported revival movements, and Barna's previous findings revealed that Bible engagement and personal commitments to Jesus are at historic highs among younger adults. Together, the numbers point to a rising trend. Gen Z and millennials are not only attending church more often, they're helping lead a broader resurgence of faith in America. I guess for me, I love that that's what Barna thinks, but I'm looking at the numbers and I'm seeing that Gen Z and millennials are going to church 23 and 22 times a year. That's basically 3 or 4 more times than Gen X a year. And nobody's really going to church that much, which I for sure am a huge proponent of being a part. If you're a Christian, community is very important. Being a part of a body is very important. But what we think of Sunday morning church, I think you can get that at a house church. You can get that in, a smaller group of people. So for me, it's not super alarming, the whole Sunday morning church thing necessarily, but engagement in community, very important. What do y'all think about the stats, and or is that to you, oh wow, things are turning around with these younger generations?
I have questions.
Yeah.
What is the, how large is the Gen X and Gen Z and millennials? And so even that stat of percentage, I mean, I know it's a percentage, they averaged it, but if you if one generation has a larger number of people in our country than the other, then that larger number going this many times a year looks a lot different than a smaller number going that many times. So that I kind of wonder. I think it makes sense. I think it seems like it's a small percentage. But a small percentage of change in the dial over time
That's true.
goes to a completely different place. So I'm encouraged by that. But it kind of makes sense to me because I feel like our generation grew up, especially in the southern United States, in the Bible Belt. Cultural Christianity is kind of the thing. Everybody says they're Christian. We grew up where everybody had something to go to on, a Wednesday night or whatever it was. You find more people who don't go to a church now. And so I think in our generation, there was more of a, you say you're a Christian, but it wasn't a faith that could stand. And this newer generation, they're not satisfied with seeing someone say that they are a Christian and not see the power of God in anybody's life or any actual change. And so I feel like older generations, not all, I don't want to blanket it, but I do feel like I'm Gen X, so I do see in my generation people who say they're Christian and nothing about their life is different from culture, widespread. And the Gen Z that I'm around, they are like pressing in ways that I did not see my generation press in at that age of like Bible literacy, knowing that, like going after everything the Lord has. And so that, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. If it's true that the younger generations are going to church more, the one, I didn't think about it a whole lot, but one theory I have that makes sense to me is a lot of people that were in my shoes. Like, I feel like I got a lot of unhealthy church, but then at the same time, and it may just be how I'm wired, I could also see a lot of the good. So I reflect back on my childhood and teenage years as, man, it messed me up a lot, but I can also see a lot of the good. But I think a lot of people in my shoes wiped their hands of the church, said, I'm done, thus raised kids, millennials and Gen Z, who they didn't go to church, and so they didn't get any of the baggage, but they also didn't get any spiritual. And so now here they are, completely fresh start. They don't have any of the baggage. So it's like, oh, church, that means spiritual. I want spiritual. I'll check it out. They don't have anything holding them back. None of the fundamentalism that weighs people down or the issues with, feeling judged and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Just a theory.
I also think about how, like, one person's passion spurs another person's passion on. I'm even thinking I'm Gen Z, and I think I just barely made the cut or something. I don't remember. It's, like, somewhere right there.
Yeah, 28 is what they say. So, and you're 27?
No, I'm how old am I? 26.
26, gotcha.
I lost count. I stopped counting at 25. But even just in my own faith journey, really that like leaning in, pressing in has been spurred on by like watching my close friends do it or watching students in high school like pursue something. It almost is like, oh my gosh, like I want to be a part of that. So I feel like we've talked about it within just Seacoast in general of just how we've noticed our custom students, they're just being this revival type of spirit on them, and then even with our young adults. But it is encouraging to hear that it's, kind of a global Christ body thing, like you said. To me, even like 22 or 23 times a year, I'm like, that's just half the year. What are y'all doing the other half of the year? Get to church. So yeah, but it is encouraging.
At the very least, it's not a huge dip.
Right.
So it's like, it's more than sustaining. There's a little increase, but I think, Lynn being the smart statistician, like that's a small percentage, but that's a lot of people we're dealing with. Yeah. All right. Well, we get some sister action here. Yay. Pastor Jess Connolly, Pastor Katie Walters, and you guys are going to enjoy. Thanks for listening.
Katie, you look so pretty.
Oh, thanks. I wore shoes thinking we'd be matching, but I'm so glad to be here.
I didn't even wear my red shoes today.
I did tell Joey the problem that we sound exactly alike on the podcast, so the listeners will just have to handle it.
It's interesting. I don't hear it.
We don't either. I mean, when we're around each other sometimes, but like people, when we're in the same room, always tell us to, not just podcast.
Yeah, and she was also telling me that when you guys podcast, y'all will get to maybe for the listeners an uncomfortable personal level, and Katie's thinking, oh, we'll edit that out, and it ends up airing.
Every time. I told him every time we end it and we're like, yeah, we're not posting that. And then we post it.
It's true.
All right, well, we're here with Jess Connolly. Hey, listeners, in episode 113, we had Jess talking about tired of being tired. That's what we titled the episode. Was that, I need to jog my memory. It was what book was that about? Was it Tired of Being Tired?
Tired of being tired.
Yeah. I didn't want to say her book, Tired of Being Tired, without knowing for sure, but what the heck. So check this out. We are, I've got some questions that I didn't get to that day, and I'm going to sneak them in today, but we'll get to talking about your new book releasing September 23rd, What Comes Next. It's a new 40-day transformational guide offering hope for those facing life's toughest moments, but I thought it'd be fun, Jess, to let Big Sis introduce you to everyone.
Let's go.
There you go.
Jason Kelsey style. Are you ready for it? Here we go. All right, Seacoast podcast.
Let me ask you something. You didn't ask ChatGPT anything on this one?
No ChatGPT. This is all me.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, here we go. Seacoast listeners, you're not even ready for what's about to happen today, because joining us is not just my little sister, but a spiritual powerhouse. She is an author of right now 13 books. Let's just let everybody let that sink
13.
in. 13 books. Some of us haven't even written our grocery list this week.
That's true.
13 books. She is a Bible teacher who constantly drops truth bombs. She is a coach who always makes you feel called up and not called out. She's a wife, a mom of 4, the best sister in the world, in seminary, and if that is not enough, she is also holding it down as a local church pastor with my brother-in-law at Bright City Church downtown. She's the real deal. She is funny, fierce, faith-filled, and I promise by the end of this episode, you guys are all going to say, like, everybody who comes up to me, like, she feels like my best friend. That's what I want to be like. Okay, step back. She is actually my best friend. So buckle up. We are not going to sleepwalk through this moment, because you need to be fully alive and fully awake. Today on the Seacoast podcast, we have the one and the only Jess Connolly.
Nice. Nicely done.
I've never felt more loved. My only request is you've got to let me come back on and do that for her, because I'm just saying.
And we never do this, but I think there's some background music that is needed for that.
Let's
and
go.
Then even some crowd noise.
Some confetti.
Nice job.
I really practiced that on the way here. I did it twice. I ran through it twice in the car.
So did you ever pick on her?
Oh gosh, relentlessly.
Did y'all go through seasons where you're just like, oh, I can't stand my sister?
I was truly the worst.
Yeah. Oh, you're owning it.
Oh yeah.
Jess, do you accept that your big sister is owning all of it?
Yeah.
She wasn't the worst. I was probably an incredibly annoying little sister, but I mean, it is worth noting that if you can see my dimples in the video, she gave them to me by squeezing my face so hard when she was mad at me.
Oh yeah, that was some major trauma.
It's just a wild testament to the gospel, because I mean, there is no one who has had a spiritual transformation in their life like Catherine Elizabeth Walters. I mean, we all go from death to life, but when I tell people about my sister, what I like to say is she's like Snow White plus Jesus. And that is actually what she is. People think like she's not as nice up close. I'm like, she's nicer. People think she's not as loving. She's more loving than you think. She's a better mom than you think. She's more kind than you think. But the day before she met Jesus. she was, the exact opposite. So
I was on the wrong team. Let's just say that. I was on the wrong team.
I've been kind of like a whole fussy mess the whole time.
Whatever.
Like, I just, I don't know. God's still working on me, but like she just went dark to light, dark to light,
So do y'all still maintain a big sister, little sister connection in that way? So for example, my brother is 2 years older than me, and we're for sure peers. We both have our strengths and weaknesses, but there'll always be a big brother feel to the relationship. And I want it that way.
Yeah.
And I think he does too.
Yeah, I think I'm so protective over her that I don't think turns off. But she's very responsible and driven also. So she doesn't really have like the baby sis vibe, and not in our family either. I say it's because she's more successful than me. I think that does
literally
something.
Not true.
That's
literally not true.
Literally not true.
And whenever she says that, I'm like, in what metric? There is not a single metric except for social media, which is monopoly. It's like monopoly money. It's like not even Instagram followers or nothing. So it's not even true.
So I've got a tough question for you. We just talked with you and Josh about internet trolling and people and their shenanigans online. Would you be able to hold back if someone just went after her big time online?
No.
You wouldn't?
Mm-mm.
No.
You
I don't tell her about it.
Yeah, she really doesn't tell me because it makes me so crazy. And there's been a lot of seasons where, I've, my constant encouragement for her is like, don't care as much. She is amazing at actually knowing her who, seeing them as a real person, even if they're in Idaho, like holding their problems. She spends a lot of time like messaging them back. From the beginning, she's created a real online community and sought to keep that even as her platform's grown. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm always trying to tell her like, do less. Care about them less.
Yeah.
Like, and
not true. You would not tell me to care about them less, but you would tell me to throw it off.
Yeah. But it does
I will
make
tell
me
you
crazy.
also, my worst internet troll I ever had. Do you remember this, Ruth?
Yeah.
My worst internet troll I ever had continually came from me about the same thing, and it was saying that I wasn't a good enough sister to Katie.
Yeah.
Really?
It was crazy.
Was that someone that knew you personally or something?
No. They were watching our 2 lives online, and they just felt like she wasn't like enough for me. Or so. It was so crazy.
And everybody wanted to know her opinion on y'all's sisterhood.
Yeah. Wow. Literally. People were. She was like, "I can tell you guys must be in a fight." I was like, "What?" It was
people
wild.
Crazy.
And
she
was relentless. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was wild.
Are you calling Katie by her middle name or a little nickname? I don't know your middle name.
That's an important distinction. We have to hit this when we're on podcast. I call her Rubes because her aunt's name / one day grandmother name is Ruby.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone in our family calls her Ruby. That is not her middle name. It is not her Christian name in any way, shape, or form, but it's what we call her. So I have to tell people, I'm saying Rubes. That's what it's weird.
But so she's saying Rubes.
I was hearing Ruth.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So she calls me Rubes. And I wanted everyone to call me Ruby. Even like some of the little neighborhood kids would start calling me Ruby several years ago. But Jess's family was the only one that actually early adopted and went full send and calls me Ruby. Yeah. And so my brother-in-law, all of her kids call me Ruby. She calls me Rubes.
How old were you when you wanted to be called Ruby?
Oh gosh, probably 30.
30, really?
Yeah. 30.
Uh-huh.
Maybe younger.
That sounds something like a little kid would want.
It was,
Yo, I journaled this and it has stuck. So my 3 oldest, Rosa, Gwenny, and William, just one day, the older sister, Rosa said, "I want to be called Rosie." And Gwenny was like, "Well, I want to be called Gwendolyn Kate," which is basically her first and middle name. My son, who was probably 4 years old at the time, he said, "Well, I want to be called Big Santa." And to this day, we call that boy Big Santa. And it fits too. But it's just hilarious that's what came to his mind, Big Santa. Like for Christmas, he's really into basketball, and I bought him a t-shirt of like a Santa Claus street baller. It's like Big Santa.
That is the
That's
best.
phenomenal
man.
parenting.
Gosh, that is the
Yeah.
best.
All
Yeah.
right. So I've got a
That's
question for
great
both of
parenting.
y'all, and it's pertaining to tired of being tired. I had 2 questions, but I went ahead and just picked one of them because I really want to get into what comes next, which is a title of a book, not what comes next. That was a tricky one.
Yeah, that's
So let's say here's a scenario, and I'm curious what y'all think. Let's say you're in a season where you're hustling like crazy to make a better living for you and your family, i.e. more money specifically. It's just like, more margin. It's not like we're not going to be putting food on the table. We've got all of our needs met, but I want more for my kids. I want more for my family, and it's running you ragged in doing so. Do you think there are ever times in which we're aiming for a standard of living that requires so much energy and time while God is saying, I just want you to be content with what you have? Like, you're running yourself ragged. I'm not asking you to. So in other words, you have money too esteemed, and if you didn't know how to, because of it, you don't know how to slow down.
Yeah.
Y'all think that's a common issue? Because I actually have been in those shoes, honestly.
Yeah. I'll let the expert answer first.
Period. Yes. I think it's a cultural systemic issue. I don't know that I would think it's like an occasional individual struggle. I think it's a cultural systemic issue. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I'm in a spiritual formation class right now in seminary, and my professor said something this week that it was mind blowing. I'm not even really ready to process it, to be honest. But she was talking about she was talking about so many different things. She was talking about like agriculture and farming and the idea of abiding and the concepts and the principles of abiding. And she was basically talking about like really what you're saying, like when we embrace a pace that is no longer sustainable in any phase of life, whether that's like financially or in our families or in our churches. And she really basically said like the idea of scaling is not biblical. Like God is into kingdom multiplication, and there's the parable of the talents. There's all these different ideas of like kingdom multiplication. But she was like, we almost always get in trouble when we begin scaling from a striving perspective. And anyways, I'm still like processing it. I asked her a bunch of follow-up questions, but I think basically, yes, this is a cultural systemic issue. We're all just trying to scale and have like play that youth group game of like bigger, better, more with our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's probably what's exhausting most of us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about Jesus's words of having life to the fullest, and then the whole, look at is it the lilies? They don't even worry about their clothes. And those sorts of verses I used to just read as kind of like radical, doesn't fully apply. And now as I get older, I realize where he's getting at is like, we're too attached to this world, and our deepest heart position should be, I don't care about any of that stuff. It's a secondary issue.
Yeah.
Like my joy and my contentment comes from God. Everything else will work itself out. But it's a lifelong journey, I think.
For sure. We were talking about this the other day on Labor Day on the boat, because I think neither one of us, I would say, are very like money motivated. But we definitely are probably ambition, impact motivated, purpose motivated. And we were saying that one of the interesting things about your 40s that's really different than striving in your late 20s and 30s is you realize that no matter where you're aiming at and what you're trying to grab for, your contentment level is not going to change based on that.
Yeah.
So like I just try to answer that a lot in my own, because I don't ever really intend to make more than we make right now. I have a lot of generosity goals to like reverse give. And I never thought we would make what we make right now. So in my mind, I'm not aiming at a more, affluent lifestyle, but I am aiming at like greater impact, all these achievement goals I have in life. And I try to just remind myself that even that is a lack of contentment, can be.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, like, whether that happens or not, I'm still going to be there in 5 or 6 years, hopefully, if I still have breath in my lungs.
Yeah.
And so I think the journey of contentment is one we all have to be on, continually surrendered to the Lord, whatever your motivation is, whatever your driving factor is that's kind of propelling you forward or giving you energy, whether that's financial, spiritual, physical, all those things.
How long have you been in that mind? I mean, that's very compelling how you articulated that. I think for me, there's almost like a newness and revelation of as a kid, I thought being set apart, not swearing, not listening to certain music, and not going to certain places, watching certain movies, where now it's just like the setting apart is we should be functioning differently in our heads. Like we get to be a part of God's kingdom where all of our needs are met. I mean, it sounds like a strength of yours. Has this kind of been a place where you've been at for a good little while?
I think more like a self-awareness, which leads to seeing all your weaknesses.
Yeah.
But I do think about it a lot. Like I've been watching that Meghan Markle's new show, which people talk about. I don't know. But it's like a Martha Stewart for very rich people. It's kind of how I describe it. I mean, she has a whole crafting house, where you go in and craft and make gifts for people. That is like the extreme affluence of like someone's coming over and I'm going to spend a whole day in a crafting home, creating beautiful gifts. And it is inspiring. But I was thinking about that's not crazy to her because that's the environment she lives in California. She's with people that are in that affluence. Same is true for me. In my neighborhood, we started having lawn workers to help with our yard. I would have never thought we'll have people that do our yard, but everyone in our neighborhood has people that do their yard. There's a standard of blowing this thing off that has to happen, like, weekly, whatever. I just think it's constant. It's like every single person is having to realize that you're swimming in the environment, the ambition, the money, the push, the drive that you are in, and you have to be asking God about it. And I mean, if I was 2 neighborhoods removed, I'm not even thinking about the certain things that I'm constantly thinking about in my neighborhood. So I don't think I've arrived at it at all. I just think I'm self-aware to know like, wow, this is not contentment. I need to really grow in this.
Yep.
Yeah. But I would affirm for her, I will
Please.
affirm for her that heart of generosity, that she's always had that. Like she's literally always had that. I was actually talking to somebody the other day. I can't even remember who it was, but like someone who doesn't go to Seacoast, someone who doesn't know Katie, but they had met her maybe through me, and they said, I saw your sister the other day, and I told her I liked her jacket, and she took it off and gave it to me. And I said, that is what she does. That is what she has been doing literally her whole life. When I was in college, if one of my college roommates would be like, Katie, I love that outfit, the next day they would find it like on their doorstep. That is what she does. And so I would say you do have the spiritual gift of generosity. And I think that your heart for missions has always made you stir and feel like, am I being as content as I can be? Because I don't think everybody has that awareness that you have. And I do think it's God-given.
See, we needed your sister around here to fill in some gaps, Miss Humble. Hey, let me read a snapshot of the promo material because I just think it's a good launching point to hear about what comes next, which is it's a 40-day transformation process. Each day tackling something. I want to know, what does each day typically look like? Like, how does the book look and feel? But Jess Connolly understands that devastating moments, whether from heartbreak, burnout, or betrayal, can either destroy us or become the catalyst for our greatest transformation. Her new book, What Comes Next, offers a lifeline to anyone standing in the wreckage of their circumstances, wondering how to move forward. And you say, Jess, that so many people are stuck replaying what could have been instead of embracing what God has planned for them. And this book is for anyone ready to stop surviving and start thriving again. Is your hope that someone who's going through a life-altering situation can use this as sort of a handbook, like an all-inclusive roadmap, so to speak, to get back on the right track? Is that kind of how it was written?
That's a great question. I actually wouldn't use that language.
Okay.
I wouldn't say like a a handbook or a roadmap to get on track. Now, I will tell you this, when I started writing it, I did sort of hope it would be that. But what I realized writing it in the midst of my own grief and my own heartache, I kind of hope like, okay, if I write this and I can give people a path to feel better, maybe by the time that I'm done writing it, I'll feel better too. And I would say actually what the book ended up becoming is really 40 days to help people kind of pay attention and grapple with their own pain, with their own heartbreak, brokenness, and burnout. And every day to experience a little bit of this wild thing we hear the Apostle Paul say in 2 Corinthians 12:9, that God's power is made perfect in weakness. So I would say every day is kind of this shot of victory that isn't like a call to get over their pain. It isn't a call to like get out of their pain. It's really a call to say like, what if right here in the midst of your pain, in the midst of your heartbreak, brokenness, and burnout, what if like what comes next is the good part? What if his power made perfect in your weakness is what needs to happen? But I will say there was some grief for me. I got to about day 30 of writing the book, and I knew it was going to be a 40-day book. And I thought, by day 40, I'm just going to have experienced this wild transformation where everything in my life feels a little bit lighter, and there's going to be breakthrough and victory and healing, and everything's going to look different. And what I realized is like nothing in my life, nothing in my circumstances necessarily looked all that different after writing the book, but my spirit felt different.
And I mean, I have so many thoughts about this book because truly when she was writing it, she was really, I might be over speaking of this, Jess, but I feel like she was writing it for our family. She was writing it for her. She was writing it for our family because we were all in different ways, but also in a common way because we had lost my stepdad. But then we had a lot of other tragedies surrounding that. Very personal to each one of us. And I just feel like the actual writing act was this act of resistance, really against the enemy, against discouragement, but also you're living in days where empathy, compassion, being marked with this mercy is what she was really living. And I think back to those days and how, like, even you saying that, I think that's what we saw God do, was that every day, even in the midst of our pain, we saw him bring about this power. And she is the person, I mean, she's nationally known for this, but imagine her in a context of a family. She articulates this for all of us. And so I'm so excited that is, how you feel like the book ended up being, because that's what we needed in those days was like, we're at a bedside taking communion. Well, way too often. And she's like, Katie, this is like becoming charcuterie. We're taking communion all the time. But also in the same moment can say like, this is where we see God. This is how we're seeing God move. And then watching him empower us, and her strengthen us biblically. So yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, you said about her being nationally known. I have to tell you that about a week and a half ago, my aunt said, do you know Jess Connolly, with that being Katie's sister and everything? I was like, matter of fact, I've interviewed her before, and I could tell she was impressed.
That's right.
Well.
All the time.
So does it feel, Jess, like a 40-part devotion of different concepts, or is it an incremental process? Because does that question make sense?
Yeah, I have kind of there's like an outward path that you'll see in the book that's like embrace healing, do these all different things. But I'll tell you my internal path that I used for writing the book. I would say it's 4 parts. And this is how I pictured it, and this is how I wrote it as I wrote it. I pictured a woman in a boxing ring who has just gotten like the daylight smashed out of her. And so I kind of wrote the first 10 days as like when you're falling to the ground, like you have just gotten punched and you are falling and you are flailing and you don't know what's happening, and you are really saying like, what in the world is going on? So for me, like the first 10 days are that. The second 10 days are you kind of sitting up and assessing like what is broken, like what just got messed up, like where are the bruises, am I okay? The third set of 10 days of the devotional are you kind of standing back up and saying like, can I stand back up? Like, do I know how to walk still? Like, where am I at? How do I sort of stand in what God's done, and how do I get back up off the mat? And then the last 10 days are this call to go help somebody else who's maybe just been punched. This reminder that like the best thing that's going to come out of most of our pain, if we'll allow it, is some authority and some compassion for other people's pain. And so that's the internal picture of how the book is written.
That's an awesome visual
So
picture.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to say, and please forgive me if this isn't true, but last time we talked, didn't you say that you have basically over the years been gearing your written material towards women, and that you were kind of transitioning into a place where you wanted it to be all applicable to men and women, or is that a different interview?
I probably did say that. Tired of Being Tired was the first book that I really pitched to my publishers and said, like, this could be for men and women. I think this might be for men and women. And they said, we hear you, but, we think your audience is primarily female, so don't worry about it. So I will say when I wrote What Comes Next, I actually don't think I ever say like women of God. I pretty intentionally in the interior of the writing try to make it applicable to men and women. But I know that most of my followers are female. But yeah, in my local context, I'm serving men and women, and so it feels really natural to pastor that way when I write books as well.
Nice. Well, cool. I'll read it then. I could use it for sure. Hey, we know the definitions of these words, but I'd love to hear, especially with what comes next as the context, what's the difference between surviving and thriving? And I look around at culture, and my guess would be that surviving is definitely the norm.
What a great question. I love that you asked that, because I know we use that phrase a lot, and I feel like it can almost feel sort of like cheesy or chuggy, like, yeah, I want to thrive, not survive. So I'm thankful for the invitation to put some better words to it. I think surviving is the idea that life is happening to you. And that's it. It's happening to you, whether it's good stuff happening to you, whether it's difficult stuff happening to you, whether it's your pace happening to you. Surviving to me is just saying like, this is happening to me. And I think thriving really, I mean, the most intentional way I could say it is saying like, number one, I believe that life is happening for me. If by grace through faith you walk with Jesus and you believe that he is working all things for the good of those who love him, the ultimate good of those who love him, then saying like, even the hard stuff, even the beautiful stuff, the blessing, the hardship, the pace, all of it, like this is happening for me to form me, to shift me, to grow me into the likeness of Christ. And in that, I'm not a victim of it, but I get to cultivate what I've been given, whether that's pain or whether that's blessing or whether that's my contentment or whether that's, I don't know, just my material blessing, whatever that is. Like this is all actually happening for me so that I can be made in the likeness of Christ. And if I will take the authority and the autonomy I have to notice what I have and to ask God, okay, what comes next? What do I do with this? Then I'll actually maybe experience some victory and I won't feel like such a victim of my own life.
So good.
This is when I don't like podcasting because I want to just pause and take that in, but it's my job to keep talking, so I'll take it in later. Hey, tell us about kingdom rewards that come from painful experiences. I so relate to that concept. I want you to tell our listeners about that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's just say it honestly, like, we don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want kingdom rewards that come from painful experiences. I just want to not have pain. That sounds better.
That sounds like a plan. That sounds like a plan.
Tell him the worship song you still won't sing.
No, nobody should sing it. Nobody should sing it. I want to be tried by fire.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't want to be tried by fire.
I would
I
sing it
don't
like this. I
sing it.
don't want to be tried. I don't want to sing this.
I respect God so much. And I respect the house of God so much. I will not sing those words in his house because I do not want to be tried by fire. In fact, do not purify me anymore. I'm good. Like, just let me be. Don't look at your girl
That'll
over
preach,
here in
Jess.
the corner.
That will preach.
Let me tell you what else I don't sing. I don't sing the song Oceans anymore. I think I planted a church because I, in earnest, sang the song Oceans. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander. Do you know what the definition of being deeper than your feet can wander is? Drowning. It's drowning. we all just sang in God's house and said, like, we want to say yes to God in such wild and obedient ways that we actually feel like we can't get our head above water. Well, I'm good. So, I'm being really, I sound like I'm being tongue in cheek, but like, I do not ask God for hardship. I believe we live under the effects of a fallen world. And I believe that hardship is coming my way no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get hard phone calls. I'm going to get in conflict with people. I'm going to hurt people. People are going to hurt me. People are going to die. I cannot escape it. I'm certainly not going to ask God to rush it. But when it comes, because it will come, then I have the opportunity to say, am I going to let God use this to grow me and strengthen me?
Mm-hmm.
I cannot escape it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can either allow it to make me softer, more generous, more compassionate, more in love with God, more in awe of God,
Mm-hmm.
or I can choose to be calloused and hard and like white knuckle through it. And so I just want to even say, as someone who's like written now a book about this, who's going to do interviews about it, etc. Still, when hardship comes, my immediate response is not like, okay, God, change me through this. My immediate response is like, please take this pain away.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a selfish response. I think that's a human response.
Sounds like Jesus' prayer in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like
My
Jesus'
Lord.
prayer in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But after that, what comes next, I think, is thankfully a God who makes purpose out of our pain.
Yeah. This is a tough thing to admit because I hear it all the time and I totally understand where people are coming from, but kind of along the lines of what you just said, Jess, the whole concept of God wreck me. It's like, I don't like that terminology. I don't disagree with it because I know where people are coming from, but it's God wrecked me today. I'm like, well, daggum, that sucks. Ask him not to do that again. But I get where people are coming from. Hey, we're wrapping this thing up. There's an abundance, Jess and Katie, of good mental health resources out there now. You highlight the role of faith in specifically mental health recovery. So there's a lot of good mental health stuff out there. And as a believer, I have faith in God, but a lot of the mental health stuff, I can take it as is, and it's super helpful. And I do want to just say that I ran into this recently, and I think it's so pertinent to this conversation. And this is not a Christian resource. This will blow your mind. Research for sure says people who feel connected to something bigger than themselves, who feel cosmically loved, I love the choices of those words, cosmically loved, and who can share that with others, have far better mental health than everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Because we're whole people. I mean, we're whole people. We're not souls that have a body. We're not bodies that have a soul. We're not minds that have a body. We're not emotions that have a mind. We are whole people. And even biblically, when we look at like the concept of the soul throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament, what we find is that the scripture is talking about the whole person, the body, the mind, the spirit, the emotions, all of it. It's all one. And so of course, when we like shake our heads and think about it, would the God who created our very good brains, would he want us to care for them? Yes. And would he also want us to care for our spirits? Yes. Would he want us to care for our emotions? Yes. Would he want us to get rest and water and sleep and sunlight, just like a very fussy houseplant? Yes. He would want us to do those things as well. And so, yeah, we are whole people, and our whole selves need care.
Yep. Jess, this has been awesome. It's always great to have you on here. And September 23rd, correct, is the release.
Yep.
Let's go.
I wish I was there. Somebody drink that coffee she brought for me.
Joey won't do it because
it won't be me. I'll drink black coffee. I've just already had a cup, and with a little bit of struggles of anxiety, I don't need this giganto cup. My gosh! Have a good rest of your day.
Great job caring for your whole self. Thank you, guys.
Love you, Jess.
Yep. See y'all.
Love you.
You've been watching Seacoast Church's Things You Won't Hear on Sunday podcast. You can now become a patron of this podcast and receive exclusive content. Your support goes towards Seacoast ministry efforts and local presence. Also, be sure to leave us a review and subscribe to this podcast so that you get these episodes as soon as they're released. All of this information can be found in the show notes. Thanks for watching.